Human beings have a spectrum of thoughts and feelings going on internally constantly. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we're inundated with thoughts about what we need to do and how and when and will he ever call. And as we move through our day, we experience all sorts of emotions. Anger at the guy who cut us off, delight at the smile of a child, shame when we look in a mirror. This vivid inner life simply isn't visible on the outside. And in our society, where success, not enlightenment, is the ultimate goal, we've gotten pretty good at hiding anything that gives the impression of imperfection. Maybe out of a wish for privacy or an insecurity that what's going on with us won't matter to other people. Maybe because we're embarrassed or ashamed to tell the truth. And so we interact with others without respect for authenticity. Instead, we choose to give off the impression that we've got it all together. Everything's great. And sometimes things really are great. We're pretty good at sharing our joys and triumphs. I mean, think of all the ooey-gooey marriage and baby announcements you see on social media. But what about the tough stuff? Abuse, addiction, adultery, disease, loss, financial ruin, betrayal? We are all susceptible. And many of us have to go through many different types of strife in this life. By not being forthcoming about the truth of our life experience, we underestimate others' ability to empathize, and we rob ourselves of the opportunity to be comforted. Do you know the feeling of telling someone the truth and having them say, "Gosh, I'm so sorry. I know someone who's been through the same thing. It was awful, but they're much better now." It's like having the weight of the world lift off your shoulders. Opening up to someone expands your point of view. It's the most wonderful reminder that you are not alone, that you are understood, and that you are a member of the human family. As a teen, like many of you, I imagine, I desperately wanted to fit in. But with my fair skin and red hair, I just wasn't going to fit in with the cool tan blondes of my Tony Dallas youth. I was sensitive, academically and artistically inclined, not adept on playing fields. I wasn't like them, and that caused me to wonder what was wrong with me. Thus sprouted a deep-seated belief that I was different in a bad way and that no one could understand me. So no matter that I had friends and family who loved me, I still felt completely alone. Back then, I wasn't mature enough to verbalize my feelings. When I felt a thought or feeling rise up inside me, I shoved it down as far as I could until I was filled with an unaddressed and unsettling ball of emotions. I looked at the girls that I wanted to be like, and from what I observed, in order to be cool, you had to be tan, blonde, and skinny. Well, I took the one of those things that I thought I could control and got busy getting skinnier and skinnier until I had developed a raging eating disorder. So very much was going on inside that frail and failing body and in the mind and heart of that suffering girl. It wasn't until I was able to talk about it that I understood what motivated my actions. I went to group therapy sessions with other teens who were working out their angst. I could see that while we all handled our struggles in different ways, burning stuff, pulling out hair, addiction, we all just wanted to feel deserving of love and acceptance. We all just wanted to fit in. It wasn't until I saw that I was actually no different from these other kids that I was able to enact true change and heal my relationship with food and my body image. It was around this time that I dove into acting as a way to channel the feelings constantly coursing through my body. I played roles, dozens of them, throughout my high school career and college and even more in my 20s. I stepped inside each character and the world of each play, asking myself how I, Nicole, how I would fit in if I was in that situation. Playing characters was a way for me to deepen my understanding of my own identity. Even as I played these characters, I felt compelled to write about my experience playing them, taking the degree of self-analysis one step further. Like in the blog posts I wrote in the days following 9/11 when I was on tour playing Cinderella in the Northeast. I wrote to reconcile my feelings in my first acting job out of Northwestern with the devastating results of a terrorist attack. I wrote to make sense of my life. My career eventually took me to LA and through the Hollywood machine. A few years in, I was spit out by my agent. Rather than jumping back in, I wrote some more. I tried to understand how my love for acting that had dominated my decision-making for over 10 years could fit into my future life. I had not felt successful as an actress. I hadn't felt special or intelligent or unique. I felt less than and discouraged, and that was no longer okay. I established that the primary two qualities of my new life would be joy and fulfillment. I just didn't know exactly how that would be manifested. Then I met Karen Gutman, producer of Spark True Life Storytelling Show in Santa Monica. She was a fellow Northwestern alum, a writer, and she encouraged me to check out her show. She praised the value of creating a healing narrative out of your life experiences. I went, and I loved getting to know strangers in this very intimate way. I saw a connection between my love for performing and my underexplored passion for writing about my life. So I wrote my first story about how the sickness and death of my grandmother had been my toughest and most impactful lesson in faith. The experience of performing that story was both joyful and fulfilling. The sting of not making it as an actress lessened as I started to see that my life and my talents were suited for something else. I began taking personal nonfiction writing classes and performing in other storytelling events in Los Angeles. I loved being on stage. But rather than hiding behind a character, I was getting to know myself. I started to get addicted. When it became clear that I wasn't going to continue working as an actress in Hollywood, I decided to move back to Dallas. I felt compelled to make a difference in my hometown. I wanted to speak to young people and somehow prevent them from getting as lost and disheartened as I had. I wanted to give everyone I could the chance to tell their stories and heal as I did. So I decided to start my own unique brand of storytelling show in Dallas. With key help along the way, I created Oral Fixation, an obsession with true life tales, as a manifestation of all my life and experience. I went from being constantly rejected for opportunities to express myself through acting to producing a series where I get to give 7 people a month the chance to step outside their daily routines and express themselves. To better understand what oral fixation is all about, think of all of your life experiences as raw material. And the type of storytelling that I do, which is always true and personal, we work with a theme. Let's say the theme is silver lining. Think about what you've been through that might connect with going through a tough time and having something unexpectedly special come out of it. Add in that we're typically working with memory, and you start off with a story with this taffy-like consistency that you must push and pull and twist to flesh out the memory, recalling sensory details and even dialogue. For me, the silver lining of failing at my acting career was finding my true life's calling. So that is what I would write about for a silver lining story, my transformation from needy and insecure aspiring actress to confident and fulfilled arts entrepreneur. There is another story that I'd like to share with you. As you listen, think about how I might feel telling it and track your own thoughts and feelings. Earlier this year, my husband and I were expecting a baby. We had only been married 4 months when we were conceived, and we were ecstatic. We waited until we were past the first trimester to spread the news. Everything appeared to be going swimmingly. Then, in mid-June, we went in for our 20-week sonogram to find out the sex of the baby, and we're told that our fetus was abnormal. Well, that didn't sound that bad. I mean, I'm a redhead. Abnormal is my normal. But it was much more serious than that. So serious that the doctor brought up terminating the pregnancy in that first conversation. Shocked and trembling at the severity of the situation we all of a sudden found ourselves in, my husband and I agreed to undergo a series of tests and wait for the results until he made a decision. About a week in, we heard about the bill on the floor of the Texas Senate that was threatening to take away the right for a woman to have an abortion after 20 weeks. Then, on June 26th, the day after Wendy Davis stood for 13 hours to deliver a filibuster protecting the rights of women just like me, we made the devastating decision to abort our fetus at 22 weeks. It was heartbreaking, but we were so grateful that we didn't have to go to another state for the procedure. Before we lost the baby, I programmed our Oral Fixation Season 3 schedule. Since I was to be almost 9 months pregnant, I thought it would be fun to kick things off with an evening of stories on the theme Bun in the Oven, and I would tell the story of my first pregnancy. After losing the baby, in the spirit of healing through sharing my story, I decided to stick with the plan. So in a couple of weeks, right around the corner at AT&T Performing Arts Center, I will do just that. That's the and then moment of this talk. Going through something like losing your unborn child is horrible. Writing about what happened is healthy. And reading that story aloud to a room of 100+ people can be cathartic. There is an exchange of energy that happens in this environment where the act of sharing your truth is healing for both the teller and the listener. I am not asking you all to participate in oral fixation or a similar type of storytelling show. But I am asking you to be courageous. And the next time you hit a rough spot, tell someone. Express yourself. Get your tangled thoughts and overpowering feelings out of your body and allow yourself to receive grace from others. Be more transparent about your life. Your bravery could really help someone feel less alone. It was really knowing that after we lost the baby, we finally told people what had happened. And it was only when we heard that people we knew had gone through a similar situation, survived, and gone on to have healthy children, that we were able to hold on to that as a way to deal with this devastating loss. So please, be there for people in your life when they're struggling. Because life is tough. Some days you're up, some days you're down. But it's all the more meaningful if we go through it together. Thank you.